start off with a couple of questions.
Hi, for all three players, what were your first impressions of Matthew Mitchell, and when did you sort of know he wasn't a usual coach?
When I first met Matthew Mitchell, my first impression of him was he was very energetic. I felt like he was a very good person, and he was very how do I say this? He was just very excited to have all of us here. So
Yeah, I watched his first press conference after he signed with Houston, and from there I was interested in him. He is a very structured man. He's a man with a plan, and I think his plan will take us a long way this season.
Yeah, I agree. My first conversation with Coach Mitchell was over the phone, and I could just feel his energy through the phone. We had conversations. He would text me. It was around the time the men's team was going to the Final Four. He was so excited for them. It's just the energy that he had and the excitement he had about Houston, but also about the impact he wanted to make at Houston.
Yeah, Amira, I just wanted to touch base and ask how it's been so far being reunited with Kendall and TK.
Amazing. If you guys don't know, me and TK played at SMU together for 2 years. And, this is like a sister to me. So it's great just having somebody else on the team that you can trust on the court and off the court. And me and Kendall grew close really, really fast last year at A&M. And it was just exciting for me for her to also come here. When I got that phone call, my heart just burst into glitter. So, yeah.
Kiera, being one of only 3 student athletes to return to the team, how has it been, acclimate, helping the new transfers, acclimating to the climate and culture of Houston?
a lot of my teammates are already from Houston, so I really ain't had to do no helping outside of basketball.
She's been a great host. She was assigned a big sister to other players when we very first came. Her, KP, and Summer, and I think she's done a great job. I think there's probably a lot of adjustments from last year to this year, but just hearing Coach Mitchell speak about her, she's adjusted very, very well. And so, her being here, her knowing the system, knowing the Big 12, Nora Mir has played in the Big 12. So, yeah, she's been great.
This is for all three. With a new coach, new system, new players, what's the one thing that you could say on game one you feel confident as a team you can hang your hat on?
I feel like we're going to have a lot of energy. The culture has been very different having Matthew Mitchell here, and it's very energetic. So I think game one we're going to come full of energy.
Yeah, I think that we're not going to be the biggest team. We're not going to be the strongest team, but I definitely think we'll be the most hardworking team out there. We play with a lot of pace. We're held to a high standard with pace. So I think you can count on us to be the hardest working team in the Big 12, regardless of size or strength.
I would say the same. They kind of stole my answers. But, yeah, I would say energy. Like, just expect a lot of energy, excitement, hard work. Just expect us to really get out there and make a difference.
TK and Amira, what was so attractive about Houston?
Well, I've been in Texas for the last 4 years now. So I would say, honestly, the city part. I'm from Atlanta, so I'm from a city. So I would just say the city part, yeah, really.
I think Houston is a great city. I'm coming from Dallas. I think there's a big difference. But I think that me having one more year left and knowing, it's a very personal season for me. And so just after all my conversations with Coach Mitchell and just hearing what he has to offer, not even on the court, but also off the court, I've, developed myself off the court and what I want to do after basketball. So I think this was just my best fit to develop as a human, all around as a player and just as a person.
For Kiera, how would you describe what is different this year? When you show up to practice, what's the difference that you feel with your team and your teammates and your coach?
The energy is definitely a lot a lot better this year and the culture that Coach Matthew is building.
For all three of you, the pace you're going to play at, what's the advantage of that, and what's the hardest part of it?
I think that anybody can bring the ball up the court. We're not going to have one single point guard bring the ball up the court all game, so there's no pressure on that. If Amir gets the ball, go. If I get the ball, go. We want to play fast, and so, they're going to guard the lane, but we can also shoot, so you got to guard the three-point line. So we're just going to be a very, very, very versatile team, and so teams are going to have to play all 40 minutes. There's not going to be any rest point, so.
Yeah, I would just say, me and my teammates, we've been working hard all summer and, working on conditioning, and that plays a big part in how we want to play this year. We want to play fast-paced. We want to run the floor. We want to have our post players rim running, and I think that that's something we're focusing on every day is just pushing the pace. Defensively, we want to play aggressive. We want to force turnovers, and I think that that's what you guys can be looking forward to. So, yeah.
This is for any of the players. I know you talked about Coach Mitchell as far as, who he is and what he brings to the table. But what have you noticed about him as far as the X's and O's and what he brings as far as game planning and just setting you guys up for success?
One thing that I've noticed that has stood out is he expects us to be able to execute, not on our own, but, have a sense of what we're doing. We do special situations, and we do those every day just to get in the flow of, do we have a timeout? Is there 10 seconds left? Are we down by 2? Do we need a foul? So he pours into our IQ and just knowing what to do and how to go about game situations, and I think that is very important.
So for TK and Amira, y'all both played in different conferences. You played in the ACC, you played in the SEC. So how does it feel now to be playing in the Big 12 together?
It's exciting. I've never played in this conference before, but I'm very excited. It's some great competition. I'm looking forward to it. It's definitely a different league, but I think that, if we just listen to Mitchell and stick together, then we'll be okay.
Yeah, I think that the Big 12 is a great conference. I played in the AAC, the ACC, and now the Big 12. The ACC was a very competitive conference, and I'm looking forward to what the Big 12 has to offer. It's great players, great competition again. So, yeah, I'm excited.
I've played in a lot of conferences, so I'm excited to play in this one my last year.
This is mostly for Kiera, but any of y'all can answer it. So just looking at the coaching staff, it's a brand new staff. And I just wanted to know, what job Coach Mitchell, Buchanan, Anderson, Stallworth, Webb, and Dillingham have done and, what they have meant to you so far this season.
You can go first.
Okay, I'll go.
Yeah, I think even though we have a whole new staff, a whole new program, besides 3 returners, I think we've made Houston feel like a home over the last, 3-4 months since we got here in May, June. We have a young coaching staff, and so, I call Coach Nini, I call her, TT, she's like an auntie to me. Coach Anderson, I came with him from SMU for 3 years. I know the ins and outs of him, and so he knows how to coach me very well. And so, where one person may lack, the other may pick up. And Coach Mitchell does a very good job of just allowing them to do their job as well. And so it's been very good, and it's been a very good, fast adjustment, I believe.
Yeah, I would say adjusting to our coaching staff for me has been fairly easy. Like TK said, they are younger, so it's kind of easy to joke with them and build a bond with them. So I would say that's kind of what it's came to at this point. We've built a bond all summer. I feel like the team and the coaches, and every day they just push me. They push me to my full potential, and that's something I'm very grateful for. So yeah, I'm excited to take my last year with them, and yeah.
Um, Building a bond with the coaches has been very easy. Well, when they first came here, they were very welcoming. They were very helpful. I'm still, adjusting to the new coaching staff, but overall, I think they've been very helpful for me.
This could be for any of you guys, but when it comes to coming into the season, as you mentioned, a brand new coaching staff, a new feel for this program. Are there any expectations or goals that you guys have set for yourself, and if so, what are they?
We're gonna be in that tournament. We're gonna be in that NCAA tournament. We're gonna shoot to win conference. I have very high expectations for the team myself, and the team has very high expectations for themselves. And so, just every day seeing what we're building come together. We're not where we want to be, but we're not where we used to be. And so, yeah, I'm look. I'll see y'all at the tournament.
When you guys look at the growth of women's basketball throughout the country and the world, really, do you see an untapped, fan base potential here? What do you guys, see when you look at that?
I say yes. I think Houston is a big city. I think they love sport. I think this city loves sports. I think it's just a matter of time to get them something that they're excited about and excited for. And I think that we have the ability to do that, this coaching staff, this team. And so I think, like I said, just look forward to the energy. We hope to wow you guys.
Yeah, I think definitely, Houston has professional teams, everything like that. And just looking around the world, women's basketball as a whole has grown a lot in the last 2-3, years. And so just being able to be a part of that and the growth, I think Coach Mitchell does a great job of getting out there and getting the city involved. I think we do a great job of getting the city involved. We're just grateful to be here, and he preaches that every day, just, gratitude of being where you are, taking advantage of the moment. And so, you go look at his social media, and he's ecstatic, like, literally. But, yeah, I think we do a great job of just kind of getting the city involved and excited for, what we're excited for.
I ask you guys, when did you feel like the chemistry was there to be able to put it all together and win?
The potential has always been there, but maybe when we got back from break in August. But we, with these scrimmages coming up, I believe us playing against somebody else instead of our practice guys or ourselves will be the real, moment where we realize our chemistry can really flow together and we can really see what we can do against, other opponents.
I would agree with TK. Definitely playing against outsiders will help us. But I'll say for me, like I said, I'm a 6-year, so I've been on a lot of different teams. I've seen the potential since day one. I have a lot of faith in my teammates. I think, like TK said, anybody can bring the ball up, anybody can score the ball, and I'm just excited to see what they also will accomplish this year.
Kiki, what was the reason why you decided to stay here in Houston?
For one, it's home, and for two, when I talked to Coach Mitchell, he spoke very highly of me, and he told me that he seen potential, and that I could fit this program and be real good in it. So.
And then for everyone, what's your message to the fans, to come out to the games?
Come see us. We love you guys. Can't wait to meet you guys. And yeah.
Yeah, I think the city of Houston should be excited for what we have. There's a lot of hype around what we can do and what it can be. And like I said, we'll be in a tournament. So, I just think having that support along the way can go a very, very long way. So we're excited looking forward to the season.
We're ready. Well, thanks so much, everyone, for coming today, and we are looking forward to the season getting started on November the 4th. The players have worked really hard up to this point, and we're starting to see some real progress from our team. And so it's very exciting, and we are happy to be here in Houston and looking forward to a great season.
Mitchell, ever since you came to the city of Houston, you have just brought a whole lot of energy and a different change of vibes, with all your videos, the Cougar Red Fridays, the music.
You've seen those?
Yes. How has that energy always been with you, even your days at Kentucky?
Well, I'm first of all so grateful to have the opportunity to be in Houston, and it's an easy university to get excited about. It's an easy city to get excited about. People have been so welcoming, so kind, so generous with their positive feedback and energy. So that's not hard to be enthusiastic about for me. And I think in women's basketball, it's very important to communicate to the fans and to our potential fans who we want to build. We want to build a very energetic program that people feel connected to. And so anytime that I can try to connect with our fan base, with the city, with our alumni, and just basketball fans in general, we want to take advantage of that. And President Couture started Cougar Red Friday a long time ago, and I just thought it was such a cool thing to participate in and to show our pride of being part of this great university. So I'm very enthusiastic to be here, very optimistic about what we can build. I think we can really do something special here at Houston.
Okay, Coach. This city, this is a basketball city. I mean, this is a basketball college. So much history between women's and men's and just all over. So how does it feel to be officially the head coach of the women's basketball team?
Oh, it feels amazing. Feels so, as I said earlier, just so grateful for the opportunity. I had an interesting journey. Had great success at two previous stops and learned a lot from that, but feel like this time I had away from college coaching also contributed greatly to my ability to come back and do this job. And so you're never guaranteed. You never know if you'll get another opportunity. There were times when I was outside of the profession that I wasn't sure exactly what the good Lord had in store for me as far as my leadership journey, but it's just a lot of gratitude that President Couture and Eddie would give me this opportunity to be the head coach at Houston. So it feels amazing, and we are excited for the future.
Coach, what are the strengths of your team so far that you've seen?
I've been so impressed in a relatively short period of time to see the players adjust to the standards of the program. And so just the overwhelming majority of our time this past summer was concentrated on a few fundamental things for us. So what's important to us as a program are three guiding principles: honesty, hard work, discipline. Those what we call our winning tools. That's what we'll build the program with and build our lives together as a team every day. And so their willingness to learn a new system and their willingness to absorb what's necessary for them to be successful in how we approach life, how we approach academics, how we approach basketball. I've been very impressed. It's not been smooth sailing the whole time. There's been some real adversity as we've tried to get to this point, and there's more ahead, I'm sure. It's just the nature of trying to get a group of people to really come together and march toward a common goal. If it was easy, everybody would do it. It just would. You would just see a high level of winning everywhere, and so it's very challenging. So I've been very impressed with them their willingness to do the work and to come in. And right now, we are just battling every single day to take one more step toward becoming the best team we can be. And so I'm impressed with that pursuit. I'm impressed with their willingness to find their courage and do something different. And I think if we can, hang together and keep marching toward a common goal, I feel very optimistic about what we can accomplish.
Matthew, what are your expectations for this year, and what's most important to establish, during the first year of a rebuild?
Well, our expectations are to be the very best and get the best we can out of our team. This is the only time we'll coach this team. It's that way every year. I know there's been a lot of. I've gotten a lot of questions about what the differences are since I've been out and coming back in, and there's just so many more similarities than there are differences. It's still a challenge to take advantage of this unique opportunity because this is the only time this team will get together. And so our expectations are to come in every day and we've given them three priorities every day. Is first they have to believe in themselves. We all have to believe in what our contribution can be. And so we feel very confident of the team we've assembled as far as them having enough talent, them having enough skill, them having enough energy. They all have that, so that's the basis of what they need. They need to believe that they can pursue something great. So that's number one. And then we're all just working, like I just said, to embrace the system, embrace the winning tools, come to work every day, come pursue this aspiration we have of being the best we can be with honesty, hard work, and discipline. And then the third thing we're asking is just to focus on the task at hand. And so each day as we go throughout our day, whether it be class or whether it be community service, and certainly on the basketball court, just trying to focus on the task at hand, get in there and really give yourself to the process. And so that's the expectation. And when we do those things, and now we're engaged in the process, and then the results will be what they are. But we believe we have a strong program. We believe we've put together a fantastic group of players that when we come together as a team that we can be very successful. And so we just don't spend a lot of time on we're going to win 20 games or we're going to go to the Final Four or anything like that. We're so immersed right now in the process. It's so important that everybody comes every day doing their very dead level best to engage in that in a serious way and in a committed way. And so that's the expectation, and that will be important for this team and certainly for anything that we do going forward at Houston. That will be the approach.
Coach, coming in, you were tasked with rebuilding a roster, rebuilding a staff. How did you sort of sell Houston women's basketball to any recruits or staff members?
Well, the first thing that I think is so exciting here when you think about basketball, and it reminds me of what we were trying to do, previously, is to connect to the success that the university's having and connect to the success that we're having on campus. I just was at President Couture's State of the University, and there's incredibly consequential things going on that are moving people forward, moving our students forward at the university, doing a lot of good for a lot of people all over the place. And so a lot of success there. I was announced on March 27th on a Tuesday. Friday night we were in the Final Four. Coach Sampson's team was in the Final Four, and what they have done to create excitement around the University of Houston and just basketball, I think is so inspirational for us and lets you dream about trying to be successful because you're seeing it happening. And so I think when you connect to that energy of what success means here at the university. I think that gives you a path forward. And I also had spent my entire career coming to Houston and coming to Texas recruiting players. And so that's the other piece that I think is such a great advantage for us is we are surrounded by talent that really fits our style of play. And we have we're very focused on who we want to be as a basketball program. We want to be athletic, explosive, attacking, disruptive, and we want teams to know that they're in a tough basketball game. And so all of those factors really came together. And I think the final piece really was I could connect to Eddie's desire for a great women's basketball program. I could really connect to that. I think that's so important when you are working for a leader who wants to be successful and who is serious about it. And all of those came together to make this an incredible opportunity for me to take.
Hey, Coach, a lot of the players earlier talked about your excitement about the program and energy and how that stood out to them. Especially Kira, she said that was different from last year. So how does that make you feel knowing that they really appreciate that? And would you say that's, I guess, one of the biggest parts of your coaching personality?
Well, I'm grateful that they feel that way. And I am it's easy to get excited about a group of young people when you can see, and I'll give Kiera a ton of credit. From the first day I walked in, she was on campus. She was one of the few players that we had here. She loves this university. She loves representing Houston, and to see where she started and where she has grown to at this point, and she has more to give, and she's going to just continue to get better. She's a great example of why I'm so grateful to him and so excited about what we can become, because she has given tremendous effort, not just on the basketball court, but just in her approach to life. And so that's, for me, that's the most fun part of it. And that's what we're going to try to do in this new era of where players have freedom of movement. It's different than when it was just kind of coming online when I stepped away. And so, what's fun for me is to see a person grow and to see a person improve. And because she's been in our program, it's made an impact in a positive way on her life. And so, that takes, we've come a long way in a short period of time, but it also takes time. And so that's what we're going to do every day. We're going to try to make sure this is an atmosphere where a young person can come and believe she can continue to improve. And I'm very committed to creating that atmosphere every day. And so to hear anything positive like that's great. And but it's a real credit to them. They've worked extremely hard, all the players, not just the three you talked to today. They've worked hard to make some real progress here.
You mentioned your system a couple of times now. From an X's and O's standpoint, what does that look like?
Well, we want for our offense to be, we want for our defense to be high energy, pressure. Defense leads to offense. We want to make a strong commitment on the defensive end of the floor. It's very simple. It's not easy to run, but it's a very simple system, and it's pressure on the ball, and it's trying to disrupt as much as you can, trying to make it tough for people to do what they want to do. So that's as simple as it gets, but that takes tremendous commitment from the players, from a physical conditioning standpoint, from a mental focus standpoint, from an emotional toughness standpoint. It's a very demanding system to learn and to put together. But I think we've gotten the players. I think we were able to attract the kind of talent we needed to fit what we like to do and what we've had success with. you're always you always have to make sure that you have the right type of players and that where you can have them in a successful position. So that's where it really starts for us. And then offensively, we like to have versatile players who enjoy attacking, and so we try to get a layup on every possession is the philosophy. We're trying to attack every possession. And, we do that successfully enough times. We're going to be a tough team to guard. And this team has invested a tremendous amount of time and energy in shooting and trying to get better shooting the basketball. And I like our shooters. I like our possibilities there. And so we'll try to take advantage of the three-point line as well. But it's up-tempo. It's high energy, and I think it's something that the fans will really enjoy because the players give a tremendous amount of effort. We tell them all the time there is no plan B. You have to really commit to this. You have to come in every day and earn the ability, do the work, put money in the bank so you can withdraw. It's a lot of investment that the players have to make the style work. But once they do that, it is tremendously exciting for them, and we've gotten great results, and then the fans connect with it.
Coach, from your perspective, what has the buy-in process been like with the players? Just the players we've spoken to already, they seem very receptive with your coaching, and kind of how does that help the team overall when everyone is on the same page?
Well, it's vital for it to work, for people to be on the same page, because we're trying to operate from a really principled position. And so there's really no way to hide from that. So you have to get committed to that part of it. And so we are always interested and I found it interesting in my career to see where the investment in them as people first will definitely pay off on the basketball court, but also that investment over time, then also now it equips them to gain from this experience something that will be lasting and give them sustained success throughout life, no matter if they play professional basketball or go on to a great profession. We do that from a principled standpoint. So it's a big investment on the front end because we're not always telling them what they want to hear. We're not always taking the easy road. We're not always taking the smoothest path. But I think that's a lot of us, human nature. I just think that a lot of us, me included, we resist the tough times. Sometimes we'd like an easier path to success. And so that's why I just give our team such tremendous credit up to this point for what they have done and what they have accomplished. We have more to do, but it's been some tough days, and it's been an exercise of commitment, but also patience. So we work hard not to compare ourselves to anybody else, and don't compare. And us as coaches don't compare where we are now in the process to a finished product. And so there's some onus on our staff to try to equip the players with enough competency so they understand what the system is and they understand what the atmosphere is. And so there's some patience there as you teach. And then once there's, the standard, everybody understands it. And there's some push there from the coaches where we have to hold people accountable to a principled approach that we know gets results for them on the court, off the court. And so we're really, really committed to that. And so the buy-in process, I compliment the players for really getting out of their comfort zone so many times to be in the place we are now. And so the place we are now is of opportunity. We've done enough work where I'm trying to show them that listen, I coached 10 teams that qualified or, for the NCAA tournament. I count the one in 2020 where the tournament got canceled. I think we were clearly in the field that year, had a good team. So I've coached 10 of these teams. Have been an assistant on a bunch of others. So I know what a really good team can look like. And so what I'm trying to tell them is that they've done enough work up to this point where they've at least now created them an opportunity. Now, whether that ends up NCAA tournament or not, the point is that they've done enough work where now if they'll keep at it and they'll stay in the position of being bought in, if they'll keep doing it and they'll keep investing, they have a chance to accomplish some great things. So that's where my admiration stems from and my gratitude, and I'm excited to see what we can accomplish.
Coach, you have a lot of veteran leadership on this team, from Amira to Kendall to TK. So, how do you feel about them, leading the team this season?
I just have been impressed with their willingness to listen and to embrace a new way of doing things. And, take TK, for example. I think she just came in day one with a real hunger to have a season where she felt like she could reach her potential. And that's really what we're trying to do for everybody. So potential is just unrealized talent. And so as a coach, you're trying to help them realize their talent to the fullest extent possible. So you see that potential in them. And so TK is a great example of being committed every day and coming in and from day one has not been perfect. None of us have been, but you can see that desire. And so as that desire grows because our veterans are veteran from an experience standpoint, but it's still brand new to them how we're doing things. So there's a learning curve there. And the more committed they can stay to our priorities, believing in themselves, embracing the system, staying focused on the task at hand, that's when the magic will happen.
Coach Mitchell, going back to the X and O's and the game plan, you coached at Kentucky for 13 years. You had a hiatus, then you went to Houston. Have there been any tweaks to your game plan? Because not everything that worked at Kentucky won't work over here at Houston. So have you made any changes that will better acclimate your players?
Yeah, it's a great question, great point of where I was able to utilize the time away from college basketball. I stayed connected to the game, was able to did some TV work, which allowed me to go in and watch how other people did things. So you learn a lot there. One of my great mentors in life and in basketball is Billy Donovan, Chicago Bulls, was so generous to let me go in and learn from him and his staff and watch how they do things. And so absolutely excited about everything that I have learned and able to add to, the foundational principles of the program and adjust and put together a team that tactically can attack and be really dynamic. So excited about all of the growth I was able to make while I was away from college basketball. Also went through some adversity as I was in the Glendover Community League coaching sixth graders, and we took a lot of losses during that season. It was a very difficult season, so I had to build up my coaching resilience over the time. It was not all just, a bed of roses there, rainbows and sunshine the whole time. There's some real difficult defeats we took in the Glendover League, and my coaching compatriots there didn't let me forget that they were sort of dominating our young team. But so I stayed very involved and connected to the game, and excited about what I learned.
Coach, I want to ask you, does this kind of take you back to Kentucky where you had success on the men's side and the women's side, and do you kind of see that in your brain as you work with this women's team?
Yeah, I think it just is such a bonus, so inspirational that, and my goodness, I have admired Coach Sampson just for forever, and now to have a chance to be around him, and he's been so kind and welcoming to me, and he's really inspirational. I just value, he has a real principled approach to the game, and his the guys on their team have just been top notch, high character. They're so encouraging. I was in the stairwell the other day, and they're like, "Coach, we're excited for the season," and so I appreciate all that. So there's great energy, and that was the same thing that happened at Kentucky. We just tried to draft off of that and be inspired by it, and their success doesn't guarantee our success. We have to do our own thing and do the work, but. It is inspirational to be around their program. They work so hard. They're so technically sound and principally driven. It's an awesome atmosphere.
Coach, you mentioned a little bit of your expectations, and when we had your women in here, they mentioned, TK mentioned that her expectation is to get to that tournament, and kept saying, "We will see you guys at that tournament." How much does that fire you up, knowing that that's one of your senior leaders who's going to be leading this team?
I love it. I love it for her. Love it for all the players. She's serious about it, and what I talked to her about and the team is that those things are wonderful to talk about and to have in your mind, and it's great to set a goal, and it's great to set an aspirational goal. And there'll only be 68 teams that qualify for it. And so statistically, it's a difficult thing to do, but it's a worthy pursuit, and nothing would make me happier than to see a kid like that who is really just gotten all in and wants it badly. So it motivates me as a coach to try to be organized every day with our time, try to teach the best that I can, try to put them in the best position to win, but. We're going to go for it and see what happens. And there's my thing to them is, today matters. If you want to be there in March, like October, what's the day, the 14th or 15th? I don't even know what day it is. But today we're taking the floor at 1 o'clock, and it'll really matter what they do. If that's what they want to do, then, say it out loud, but now we got to go do the work. We got to show up every day, and there's a lot that goes into it. But I mean, what the heck? Let's go for it, and let's show up every day with that in mind. And if that helps keep you focused and keeps you driven, I'm all for it. So I love her enthusiasm for it.
Matthew, when the players were in here, they talked about the young staff you have around you and how easy it is to relate to. Was that part of your calculus when you're building a staff, and how much did you think about who you would hire when you were away?
Well, there were a few things that were important to me. One was, the only way that you're going to be able to implement our program is people who have shared values and people who are interested in honesty, hard work, discipline, people who either possess those attributes or aspire to, who are interested in acquiring them. So the character of the people that we hired was very important. And then never residing in Texas, I recruited here, and we were fortunate enough to have some Texans on the roster at Kentucky. But I thought that was important for us because we want to recruit in this city. I think there's fantastic talent that fits our style all over this city and in the greater Houston metro area. I just think that there's a huge opportunity. And so people familiar with that and people that were comfortable there and knew the connections, I thought that was important. And just people who could see the vision and could connect to it, because we believe we can have an outstanding program, a program of excellence. We believe we can sustain success here. And so people that connected to that vision were important. And I'm thrilled with the people that we were able to attract here, and as we grow together, and our staff, we have to keep getting better every day too. But there's a real willingness to get on the court with the players and develop them, and to really get down into the trenches with them, and not tell them but teach them. And I've been impressed with their enthusiasm for that. Thanks, everybody. Looking forward to the season. Appreciate you coming out and covering us. Thanks so much.
today's availability. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We've got microphones here. We'll get going with all that. Chris, we're going to go to Chris Baldwin, your first question on the right.
Kelvin, I know you don't care about individual rankings, but the consistency of this program being ranked in the, top 10 so many years in a row, what does that mean to you to, sustain that over so many years?
I think it speaks to our culture, how we do things, our staff, consistency of our staff year in and year out, the kind of players we choose to recruit. That's probably unique to most people. If you get under the hood and see exactly how we do it, this probably would surprise a lot of people, how we go about making final decisions on who we'd like to coach and why. Having the right kind of kids, discipline. So we've been really good in all those areas.
Next question, we'll go here in the front, on the orange.
All right. Coach, how much better has Milo's Uzan looked going into his second year now with the program?
He's gotten better. He definitely has taken a jump, as all of our seniors do. You go all the way back to Damian Dotson. From his junior year to his senior year, he took a significant jump. Rob Gray, Corey, Galen. So Milos is, he owns who he is better. That was a tough situation for him last year. Going into the Auburn game, he had just missed 19 consecutive days of practice. And when you have surgery on your nose, you can't practice. You say, well, we'll start him doing this. No, he didn't touch a basketball. Well, I shouldn't say he didn't touch one. He couldn't play for 19 straight days. And he spent the whole month of November just trying to catch up physically. And then when you add in Ben as point guard for Houston, and we're pretty used to getting everybody's best shot for a long time. It's like Chris said, it's not the first time last year wasn't the first time we had a ranked team. So, but I thought those his teammates, LJ, J1, Emmanuel, Malik, Terrence, thought all those guys really helped Milos a lot last year. And then this year, the script is flipped. So he's doing a good job with Isaiah and Kingston, Mercy, Chase. He's taken his leadership role very seriously.
Anybody? What do you got? Thanks, Chris. You want to go, Nate? You got a question, Nate? Yeah. Go ahead.
Coach, in terms of expectations, I hope you answer, but in terms of expectations, what are your expectations for this year with this team?
Same as they are every year. Nothing ever changes with me. Get to work, identify the areas that we need to improve in, and keep getting better.
Good kid in the back in the middle.
Coach, where is JoJo Tugger at in terms of his recovery, and do you expect any limitations for the opener?
Opener meaning November 3rd?
Yes.
No, I don't anticipate any limitations, but he's still getting in shape. He was out for a while, so he's not in game shape. He's in better game shape today. We had a big scrimmage on Saturday, and he actually played more minutes than I anticipated. But I don't really put limitations on him. It's like this time last year, Terrence was coming off a Achilles tendon surgery, and I usually go up to him. I told Terrence, I told Khalifa, and JoJo the same thing. If it's bothering you, don't ask for permission to step out. Just, you know your pain. So coach yourself. So coach is okay if I step out. You don't need to say that. Just walk off the court. I'll understand. I mean, these kids' long-term health is just as important as their short-term health. So we've always been really understanding with kids with surgeries. Sometimes a kid has pain. You're not going to step off for that. We all have pain, but surgeries are a different animal.
Coach, you're with your players for a lot of their young adult life, so how important is it for you to see them to grow as men and in character throughout their time here?
Yeah, it's something I've always taken seriously. I probably got that from my father. He was high school coach at a rural school. And most of the kids he had came from farming communities. And most of them would take a bus to school, but because practice was after school, most of them didn't have a ride home. And they didn't have the kind of families that would come pick them up. That's not the way you did it back then. And so I can't tell you how many times I had to sit between one of his players' laps. We didn't have seatbelts back then. What we did, we just didn't enforce them. Strike that. I don't even think we did. We didn't have bucket seats either. We just had board seats. We take one of my grandmother's old spreads and throw it across it. It became a nice board seat. But we could get about 8 or 9 players in his car, and maybe 10 o'clock when we got home, but he'd drop them off each one. And what I saw years later was how much they appreciated that, the impact that had on their lives. So he was a good role model for me.
Anybody else have a question? Chancellor, we'll go to Chancellor back left.
Hey, Kelvin.
Nice glasses there, Chancellor.
Thank you, sir.
New job, new glasses, new look. I mean, where are you going with that?
That's a great question. When you add the type of talent that you did, particularly in the freshmen, and their versatility, what does that allow you to maybe do or change things regarding your system to fit or fit their style?
Well, at this point, they probably have more weaknesses than strengths because they're not playing against 16-year-olds. It's amazing how many of these guys got their reputations and rankings based on kids that were 16 and 17. If you've noticed our roster, we don't have a lot of 16, 17-year-olds. We got a lot of older guys. I don't think CNAC's ever played against a JoJo in high school. I don't care where he's ranked. There ain't no JoJos running around the high school ranks house. Same thing with Kingston, going against Emmanuel. He's never seen a guy like Emmanuel, not in high school. So there's always that transition period where they go from being overwhelmed to being comfortable. And some of their transitions are longer than others. Like for Jamal Shedd, it took forever, because he was hard-headed. But when a kid comes in hard-headed, it's like the battle between the river and the rock. The river always wins. So I'll let you figure out who the river is.
We'll go back to Chris here.
Kelvin, Chase's rebounding ability, is that something you saw when you guys recruited him? And
Yeah, Chase got to get a lot better there. I don't know where you got your info about his rebounding ability, but I'm telling you, it's off. He needs a lot of work on his rebounding.
Go back to Chancellor here, please. Thank you, Chancellor.
Kelvin, what have you seen out of Mercy Miller and Chase just as they transition from freshman to sophomore?
They've gotten better, but it's practice. Our defense is good. It's hard. It's like last year's team was #1 team in the nation. Now put that in perspective. Number 1 team in the nation defensively. How do you think Mercy and Cordell and those guys would do against that team in practice every day? They struggled. Now, let's say we're ranked number 293 in the nation. There's 370 teams. Let's say we're ranked 293. Probably would do better against that team, right? So they struggle. The way we defend, it's not easy to look good in practice, especially when we start grinding down on all the little nuts and bolts things that you only see but never hear. When we start install and we get it all in, and we know what we're doing in each third of the floor or each quadrant of the floor, where we're trapping, what we're taking away. It's hard to look good against that. You know, look at the teams that play against us that they were doing that with their starters. You know, I think we held teams at 50-some points a game last year. That's hard to do. A lot of these teams average 80. They scored 50 on us. Well, the point is those kids are playing against that team every day in practice. So it's hard for them to look good. Sometimes they have to wait for games to get more freedom. So, you know, Kingston, Isaiah, they're having to learn how to play against it, but they're also having to learn how to play it, be good on defense. And, you know, standards are standards around here. They always have been. You know, our standards are non-negotiable when it comes to doing certain things right. And they all come in not having a clue of how to do any of it. So they have to learn, and you have to teach them. And that's the process.
We'll go back to transfer, please.
You've obviously coached a number of really good point guards over the years. What's unique about Milos' skill set that allows you to do some things maybe differently with him compared to what you maybe have been able to do in the past?
Milos is his length helps him, especially certain parts of our defense. You know, we call our back pressure. He's really good at that. Jamal was good at it too, but Jamal used athleticism where Milos might use length. That would be one difference I'd see. Another one would be he can see over. He can see over the defense pretty good. Teams that pressure him, you know, he doesn't have the ability to just hit another gear and go by him, but he knows how to get to his spots. He can take you from A, change directions, and make up distance that way. But Milos' greatest strength, though, is from the shoulders up. He's been a diligent guy in the gym. You know, I got feedback from all. You know, Brad Stevens is a good friend of mine. So when Milos went to Boston and worked out for them, as soon as he worked out, Brad picked up the phone and called him and just said, "Here's what we think." I talked to Steve Kerr about Milos and LJ that way. So when I talk to those a lot of these NBA guys, they do such a great job of scouting. They're usually spot on with our kids. So, but Milos, had he stayed in the draft, would have got drafted. I was surprised LJ didn't get drafted. I thought he should have. But Milos is one of those young men that I look for ways to get on him because he usually doesn't give them to me. Sometimes I have to create them.
Kelvin, apologies for my tardiness, and if somebody's asked this already, but with Harwell,
I didn't know you were late.
then I outed myself. with Harwell, is it a matter of, at this point, catching him up from the time that he missed, or are there still any limitations going into the season?
No, I'd say right now, Isaiah didn't have much of a summer. We had three guys that had no summers, JoJo, Khalifa, and Harwell. All three of those guys were out with injuries. Khalifa's was recurring from, he got hurt at his previous school and kind of re-aggravated it. So we held him out. A lot of the times we just hold him out because it's the summer, you know. If a kid has an injury, it doesn't make any sense for him to be out there aggravating it. Get healthy first. So we held all three of those guys out. Now, Isaiah came back a little bit faster than those guys. And Isaiah's one of those guys you have to hold out because he'll go out there and try to do everything full speed. And sometimes as a coach, you have to save them from themselves. But Isaiah's coming along. You know, this scrimmage we got coming up and the exhibition game we get coming up, you know, I'm going to try to play get as many minutes for these guys as we can. I can't remember any scrimmage results. I remember one year we scrimmaged Texas. I don't even remember who was on their team, but we scrimmaged them in San Antonio, where the Spurs play. They're at the AT&T Center. He said, "What was the score?" I don't know. Do you, Jeff? You remember? No, sir. I have no idea. That's not why we do these scrimmages. You know, Chris and I are good friends from way, way, way back. And so I may say, he'll say, "Do you mind if he said, "We're going to zone you for the next 5 possessions." I said, "Man, don't zone us. We don't even have a zone offense in." He said, "Okay." He said, "Can we run these 5 out of bounds plays and see if we'd like to work on that?" Sure. So we just go out of bounds. I don't know if they count those points or not. You know, so the most overrated thing in the world is to draw any kind of conclusion from an exhibition game. I don't know. I know we scrimmaged them last year. Where did we scrimmage them last year at? Shreveport. Yeah, Shreveport. I don't remember one thing about that game. I know Milos didn't play. Javier didn't play. They had a 7-foot center that almost knocked one of the windows out in the gym blocking Chase's shot. I do remember that. I got a chuckle out of the bench. But it's good to get out there. You know, we've been going against each other. I think today is practice number 15 or 16, something like that. So the fact that we're going to be playing somebody else. And Chris' team's always good. That team he had last year, had they beaten Michigan State, would have went to the Elite Eight. And they probably weren't an Elite Eight team when we played them. And we certainly weren't a Final Four team when we played them in October. We're all trying to figure out who's going to play what role. And after the Mississippi State game, then we turn around and play a real game right after that. So we're just looking for some answers, not results.
Kelvin, back to injuries, can you give us an update on Jacob McFarland?
Yeah. He's actually coming along pretty good. I don't know when he would be back. You know, there's I don't know if any of you guys have had family members or any of you had traumatic surgeries, but it's not always the physical part that you concern yourself with. There's a lot of emotional trauma and mental trauma that goes with certain injuries like that. And we've been really supportive of Jason. His mother and father have both been out here. But his first surgery I don't think he fully was recovering right. So they went in and did another MRI and then had another surgery. And this one they felt really good about, and so does Jason. So he's on the road to recovery.
And what have you asked Emmanuel to improve upon from last year to this year?
You know, Emmanuel is, there's certain programs, and it's not an accident that these kids fit us. I mean, we don't recruit kids that don't fit. There's a lot of kids out there that everybody goes Google-eyed because of the number in front of it. It's just a bad fit here. They're better off somewhere else. And we very rarely miss on kids, and that's a credit to us being steadfast on who we want to play in this program. Emmanuel was a rarity because he's the last of the COVID kids. You know, I never saw him play in person, but I really watched a lot of film. His high school teammate was the kid that signed with I don't even remember where did he go first? Where did Dylan Mitchell start at? I know he's on his third school now, but Dylan Mitchell, he was at Texas and Cincinnati. I don't remember which one he was at first, but I was Emmanuel's high school teammate. So everybody was recruiting that kid. I saw him. I saw Emmanuel. I wanted Emmanuel. He had a good herky-jerkedness about him, you know, that I thought would translate in terms of his aggressiveness. And he knew how to play. He needed to develop. I didn't think he was a finished product. But the three schools that were recruiting him the hardest was Houston, Arizona, and Louisville. And I think those other schools probably saw the same thing I did. This kid's going to be good. The problem was is that he had, right after that, he had that horrific injury. And then I remember calling his dad and his mom and saying, since he's not going to be able to play a senior in high school, let's think about getting him out here and letting him redshirt a year. And I can't tell you how good John Houston is and Bishop. That they did all the rehab. I think Manuel showed up about 233. But he hadn't done anything. You know, he just gained a bunch of weight, and then he lost it just like that. Then he redshirted. Then the next year he was the sixth man. And then the next year he was a starter. And now, you know, people will remember Emmanuel. You know, I think back to that Tennessee game. So many games over the years. You know, we had our team photo shoot last night, and every year I do my annual pictures with the seniors, and I'm always amazed at how fast it goes for these kids. You know, it's kind of like an hourglass. It goes fast. It just seems like yesterday I was telling Emmanuel that I thought I was recruiting a shooting guard, and he showed up a pulling guard. And now here he is taking his senior photos with me. So, but in 11 years, I've had a lot of great senior classes, and this one will be no different.
I got time for two more questions. We'll go to Chris and then to Joseph.
Kelvin, how important is Emmanuel's defense to this group, and how can he, you know, set the tone for you guys there?
Yeah, well, I can put Emmanuel on. He has the ability to defend 4 positions actually because of his strength. Emmanuel's strong, you know, and he takes blows and he gives blows pretty good. You know, the kid last year, Lanier kid from Tennessee, you know, his first team all SEC, and you saw the job Emmanuel, and that kid's really good. He's playing a lot of minutes now for the Detroit Pistons. But Emmanuel's an elite one-on-one defender. Milos and LJ, I mean, we're the number 1 defense team in the nation, obviously. They're all good defenders. but most of them are good collectively. They know how to play and be in the right spot. They know how to follow our rules. We can put Emmanuel on somebody else's best offensive player, and I know Emmanuel's going to do a great job. There's hardest thing to do in basketball is guard a great offensive player in space and to keep him in front of you. It's hard to do. That's why we do it as a group and not one-on-one. But Emmanuel's kind of like Deion Sanders. He could take that side of the field away from you. Emmanuel's one of those guys that can guard you. Now, he's had to learn how to play. Where he's improved the most is not being so handsy. He get a lot of fouls caught on him when he first got here. But a lot of guys that are handsy, usually, and I tell them this, you're telling me you don't think you're good enough to guard him, so you foul him. Well, that ain't defense, Hoss. You got to move your feet. And Emmanuel's feet have really improved. And when a kid improves like that, it's not always fair to give the credit to the coach. Sometimes you have to give the credit to the young man. Emmanuel's really worked hard to make himself better. I'm proud of him.
Last question, okay?
Oh, and by the way, Mitchell went from Texas, Cincinnati, St. John's. Each year, freshmen come in. We've heard the stories of sort of the indoctrination to UH basketball. Some learn faster than others. This class, this group, were they quick learners in terms of when they got here, or is this a in terms of how you stay on them from maybe things that they do that are freshmen versus how you want to kind of embed what you do?
Yeah, I didn't. Coaching seniors is different. One of the big keys to coaching is coaching with one eye open and one ear closed. If you're a coach, you'll understand that. I didn't say a whole lot to LJ. I had kind of a clear line of communication with my eyes with J1. I could coach J1 with my eyes more than I could with my voice. I just give him a look. That's all he needed. Now, these three freshmen, they require a lot of attention. Because coming in, none of them are as good as they think they are. And not nearly as good as the fans think they are. Because, most fans don't know what they don't know. You just don't know. But you think you know, but you don't, because you don't know what you don't know. I know. I recruit them and I see them. All three got a long way to go. But the best thing about all three of these kids is they want to be good. And they come in here with a level of confidence that allows them to absorb setbacks, because they're going to have them. Like I said, Isaiah's never had anybody guard him like Emmanuel. I doubt Emmanuel would say Isaiah's one of the top 5 guards he's ever guarded. He's not going to say that. He's a freshman. He had never played a game. But I don't. When I coach, whether it's Jarris Walker. They chose to come here. Everybody says, well, you recruited them. No, they recruited us too. It's not like we bought them. If they had wanted, trust me, they could have got a lot more money going somewhere else. These kids all turned down money to come to Houston because this is where they wanted to come. They chose us just like we chose them. So that helps, because they know what they're getting into. Everybody across the country knows about Houston basketball. You'd be surprised at the level of recruiting that we could have if it wouldn't impress somebody. I've never been interested in that. I'd rather take kids that fit, they stay. Kids that don't fit usually transfer. That's why our kids don't transfer, because they fit. Isaiah, Chris, and Kingston, they all fit. They're great kids. the best thing I would say them about those guys right now is nothing in basketball. That they're going to evolve. They need to play games. And they're going to have X amount of bad games, just like our team is. Yeah, you guys actually think we're going to play great every game? You know, we're going to play a game this year where we play poorly, maybe win by one, and somebody's going to spend 3 days talking about what an ugly win. If we play like that again, we're going to lose. How about that statement? That ain't the way it works. You know, it's like in the NBA. There's 82 games. You're going to play 10 games where you're going to, no matter what you do, you're going to lose. Then you have 10 games where you look like world beaters. So that's 20 games on the outside. Now, those middle 62 will define who you are. Same thing in college. You're going to have 5 games where you're awful. You said, well, you played bad last night. Yeah, it's not the last one. We're going to play bad more nights than that. I remember one of the games I was looking at when we were scouting Florida was they lost by 20-some points at Tennessee. It's amazing how many people will draw a conclusion after that game. Y'all going to have bad games. We're going to get smacked this year. Slow down on the we're no good talk. We had a bad game. We're going to have these freshmen are going to have some bad ones, but they're going to have some good ones too. And there's a race. It's not a 1-game schedule. It's not a 5-game schedule. Think about some of your attitudes in here after we were 4-3. We went 31-1 after that. It's a good thing. Good thing the coaches and the players kept playing, kept coaching. Think about that.
Thank you for your
All
time.
right.
All right, guys, very fortunate to have from your far left, senior guard, graduate guard, Ramon Walker Jr., senior guard, Emmanuel Sharp in the middle, and senior point guard, Milos Buzan on your far right. If you have a question, raise your hand. We'll get to you in order we can as quickly as possible. We'll go Nate, far right.
Guys, biggest difference from last year until now, what you learned, what you're ready to get done?
I just say the amount of leadership it takes. And I think all 3 of us have really stepped that up this year, especially with the new younger guys. They need a lot more talking to, uplifting, and, I think we're doing a really good job of that since June until now. So I think just continuing that throughout the year will help Coach Samp and our team out a lot.
To kind of piggyback on what Emmanuel said, just, being more vocal. We've been here, for a long time. This is, Los knows the system, in and out. So just being those vocal leaders for those young guys and, being able to help them and, things they don't understand and being those voices for them.
Yeah, for sure. We got 4 freshmen, 1 new transfer. We got Coach Q who left. So I think just for the guys that have been here, their voice means a little more. And it's helpful. So just to be out there and use your voice, like for me, with Kingston, he's the next point guard up. So just to make sure I'm helping him out as much as possible is big for me.
Go in the middle in the orange, please.
Okay, Milos, this is your 2nd year now as the point guard for the University of Houston. So how do you feel you've improved ever since you arrived back last summer?
I think most importantly, my leadership. I think I'm a little bit more vocal out there. And then when I got here last year, I was kind of one of the few new guys. So I was just taking everything in. I feel like now I understand a little bit better what's going on, so I'm able to help others as well.
We'll go in the back, Zach, in the back left, please.
How much, this is for any of you guys, but how much is the ending of last year a motivation this offseason in everything you do, whether it's practice or conditioning? How much do you think about that and use that as fuel?
I mean, I think about it a lot. Just knowing, we was right there. We know what it takes, especially the guys coming back. We know how hard it is to get there. And all the steps that we need to do. We can't skip any steps. We got to go through preseason, off-season, October practice, adversity. Like, we can't get too high or too low throughout the season. And just keeping a level head, all the way through till Monday night. We got close, and, we didn't close it out. But, that's the good thing about coming back is we got another shot at it. So just excited to get back there and excited for the season in general. Yes, sir, Joe.
Joseph on the far right, guys.
Lo, since you're the the most recent newcomer out of the group here, what's the difference between being a newcomer and a freshman when it comes to how maybe Coach Sampson and the staff indoctrinate you into the system?
You said a newcomer or a freshman. I feel like it's a lot harder being a freshman. Just you're new to college. And then being here, I think it's a lot harder. This program with Coach Sampson, he's going to hold you to a higher standard. And then, I feel like for me last year, it was tough as well in the beginning of the year. And throughout the whole year. But I feel like as long as you buy in and embrace what's going on around you, you'll be fine.
Chris, here, middle right.
For all three of you guys, Kelvin was talking about taking senior pictures with you guys, I guess, the other night. Have you guys had moments like that where it sort of sinks in that, this is the last, run for you three, and, what goes through your mind, during those moments?
When you get to your last year, you start to realize that there's a lot, first, last days, like our first last day of, June conditioning, or our first last day of practice, or I just say there's a whole lot of firsts, and or not a whole lot of firsts, a whole lot of lasts, coming into the last year of your career in college, and you just gotta cherish these moments. I know I speak for, all three of us when we say we just cherish these moments that we have, because, the day's gonna come where they end, so we just go in, every day, like I said, cherishing and just working hard, and being those guys that you can depend on for coach, and basically that's it. Yeah.
Basically the same thing. It's I was thinking about it last night while we were taking pictures. Like, it's you don't really understand how fast the time flies. I feel like I was just getting here, coming off my injury, rehabbing with Coach Bishop with that 2021 team. And just thinking about how much I've, changed since then, and all we've accomplished, all three of us. So, I'm just excited, going into this last year. It's obviously it's a little sad, but I'm more excited than anything.
Nah, yeah, true. Time does move. I remember my first day at Oklahoma. I just think it's super important to just be where your feet are, and just enjoy the moment. So.
Next question, please. Right, can you get another one, Nate? Hang on, yeah. Thank you, on the right.
In terms of urgency, guys, is there a different sense of urgency coming into this year based on what happened last year?
A different sense of urgency?
I feel like we always have the same sense of urgency. Once we start, once we're here in June, we're on the ground running. So I think it's more. I think with having more new guys, it's a lot more teaching, getting guys used to how we do things here. But I don't think it's a more or less sense of urgency. We approach every day with the same sense of urgency. We're trying to get to Monday night. As soon as June started, we all have the same goal. We know what we want to get to. So just staying focused. All throughout practice, the season, wins, losses. We're ready for anything.
All of y'all are seniors. How does it feel to be able to lead a team that's ranked top 2, like, in the country as of right now?
I mean, it's you saying like preseason rankings. I mean, I really don't feel those matter as much. Those are, as some coach would say, those are based off of teams before you. So I mean, it's cool that we're a top 2 team for sure, but I think it doesn't really mean too much right now.
You guys, all three of you guys, obviously have the goal of winning the national championship, but do you have any personal goals as well?
No. It's a setup question.
Right.
This is for any three of you guys, but one of the strengths of last year's team was shooting, especially from beyond the arc. So how do you guys feel about this year's team shooting wise from 3 and how they, some of the guys who shoot really well?
I mean, I feel like, we have a lot of offensive weapons. These 2 guys next to me are really great shooters, as well as myself. The new guys, very, offensive heavy. So, but, that's not the concern for us. If we know how we play, our defense leads to our offense. So, our shooting's good, but, once we get everybody, on the same page on the defensive end, I feel like our offense will, come for itself.
Milo, since you've been working or been with Kingston since the summer, what are some of the qualities, maybe observations you made of him, just in terms of his play at the point?
Yeah, I mean, he's really good. That was my first thought of him, and he's going to surprise a lot of people this year. But no, I mean, I think he's a super humble kid. I think he's super hardworking, and I think he's a really good listener. I think that's super important for sure. As a freshman coming in, a 5-star kid, just knowing that you're humble and you're hungry, I think he'll go far.
Having a veteran like you to sort of bounce things off of, does he use that a lot? I mean, do you find yourself being as much of a instructor, mentor type to him?
I mean, I feel like we go at it in practice, and I think that helps him the most, just being able to see it.
This is for all three of you guys, but how much pride do you take in just making those practices, especially with the freshmen, just as physical as possible to help integrate them into the culture and what it'll be like with this program?
Just coming in every day with the mindset of getting better and leading by example, not just by our voices. All three of us, we take pride in playing hard all the time. He's one of the best defenders in the country, and he shows that every day in practice. It's not just on the floor during games. Like he comes in every day with that mindset of showing these guys what it's like to play defense for Coach Samp, and Milos does the same as well, and I do too. And I think that's what we've really gotten better at. Throughout the summer, throughout the fall, just coming in every day, setting the tone, and not just having Coach set the tone. Like he lets us set the tone, and I feel like that's what we do every day.
Los, talking to Kelvin, I asked him about you, and he said at times he has to find things just to get on you, just cause that's who Kelvin is. How have you kind of seen that where like you don't feel maybe you made a mistake, but it's just Kelvin maybe just trying to find something to pick at you, and what does it mean for you knowing that like you do things so right, he has to go out his way to maybe find some things for you?
Nah, I don't think he's finding. I mean, we all make mistakes. I think it's just room for me to grow. I love that he pushes me to be better. That's one of the reasons I came here last year, was because I knew how he pushes his guys. Like Coach Kelvin would say, he pushes his guys to a level they can't get themselves to. I love that. I love being pushed. So he's doing a great job.
We'll come back here to Chris in the front right, please.
Emmanuel, who has the 3-point practice crown right now? Milos was telling telling us that he edged you out the other week.
Yeah, no, that the crown is sitting safely on my locker right now. You know, it's made for my head.
It's all good.
How important is that friendly competition?
You know, I love it. You know, personally, I think, you know, me and Los have had, you know, some great competition since the summer started. But, you know, I think that's needed, especially, you know, with the older guys, the leaders. You know, we need to push each other. You know, every time in practice, you know, we're going at each other, and workouts every day. Everything's a competition. And, you know, I feel like that applies to the whole team in practice. Like, we gotta compete with each other, because that's what we do during the season. So, you know, I love it. Since, you know, the beginning of summer till now, we're making each other better.
For Ramon, what are some things that you've been working on during the off season, and what do you think you can bring to this team this year?
I'd say first and foremost, my leadership. This is going to be the first year that, you know, I got to step into, you know, being more of a vocal leader. I feel like in past years we've had Jawan and, you know, LJ, even years before that, Jamal, Marcus, and this is the first year, you know, I'm stepping into that, you know, leadership role, and I have, you know, people looking up to me. So I feel like first and foremost, that's one thing that I've been working on. You know, and just the things that, you know, come with putting in work every day, you know, my shot. Been working really hard on my defense, getting better at, you know, my off-ball defense, and, you know, just coming in every day with that mindset to get better. And I feel like everything else takes care of itself.
Any more? Everybody good? Okay, guys, if you will, come on